It's tea time on Tatooine. Use the Force, live the dream from Hoth's cold to Endor's green. It's tea time on Tatooine. Yoda's wisdom and Vader's might. Ewoks dancing in the moonlight. Hyperspace and rebel scum. Pour your tea and off we'll run. Grab a cup and join the fun. Under twin suns we are one. Stars above and tails between. Tea time on Tatooine. Welcome to Tea Time on Tatooine, bringing fans together from galaxies far, far away. I'm your host, Anna Trumbo. So it's been a while. I feel like I've been away a really long time, but it's only been 2 months. First, the LA fires, then some pain issues compounding already present stress, and so on and so on. And I just needed to take a breather. But here we are. We're back. Today is a fun one for me, speaking with friend and French horn player Avery Jett about potential alternate timelines in Revenge of the Sith. What if the Republic lost the war? What if Anakin faced off against Yoda instead of Obi-Wan on Mustafar? What if Ahsoka and Rex had been with Anakin on Coruscant? There are so many fun what-ifs to ponder, so let's jump right in, shall we? Hello, Avery. Welcome to Tea Time on Tatooine.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course, we've been chit-chatting back and forth about Star Wars for a while now, so it seems like a natural progression.
Yes, it's been how many reschedules? Two?
Only two. Nothing crazy.
glad to finally do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Very glad to have you here. Before we get to tonight's topic, I did want to ask what brought you to Star Wars? What was your kind of inciting incident to becoming a Star Wars fan?
I can't remember the initial moment. It was just something. I assume it was my dad. I don't think my mom would have shown this. But I must have been 3 or 4 years old, and we had the original trilogy, and must have been the Phantom Menace on VHS. And so my dad showed us the originals. I remember my brother and I used to wake up super early, and we would fast forward to the end of A New Hope to watch the Battle of Yavin, and we would drink Sunny D, but we would pour the Sunny D in the tiny little plastic like cap thing, and just like drink it as shots. Not to like emulate drinking liquor or anything. We just thought it was fun to drink it out of those things. But that's a distinct memory I have, is watching the end of A New Hope while drinking Sunny D on the rug with my brother.
Did you, and yes, not to emulate drinking alcohol, but was there ever any like every time like someone uses a rogue squadron call sign, take a capful or like, anything like that?
I don't think so. I think we probably finished the bottle in like a couple minutes. We were just being weirdos, I guess.
I think when you're a kid, like drinking out of something small feels fancy. Yeah.
I remember, I don't know how long it was. It must have been a little while, but Empire was my least favorite one because there was a little bit of blood when the Wampa was eating the Tauntaun, and it scared me. And so I remember being like, oh, no, I'm not watching this one. This movie sucks. And then I grew a brain, I guess.
But you've grown to love it subsequently, I assume.
Yes, I think it's the best one. So
okay, good. I was gonna say, I mean, I can't argue with like childhood trauma memories of gore, but it is also, in my opinion, the best one.
I had a similar experience with the end of the first Indiana Jones. I could not watch that. That is, I mean, even today, it's brutal. But I had to look away every time because that is some gnarly practical effects.
Yep, it's pretty intense. I think the thing that got me from Indiana Jones was when he burns his hand.
Oh yeah.
In Siberia or wherever at Marianne's bar.
Nepal.
Nepal. Yes. I was just thinking snow, and it's been a long time since I've seen it, but he picks up the medallion, and it's, the scream he does. I can feel that in my bones. It's like such a visceral moment.
Debatably a perfect movie.
It is. Yes. Yeah.
I kind of, I don't know, it's a bit problematic if you think about it for a second.
Oh, the age gap?
They don't explicitly mention their ages in the movie. So
there's a comic book where they get into it. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those I can kind of like fudge it a little bit because it's
not to excuse it. It's a long time
so long ago.
So,
yeah. No. Yep. Little problematic there, but whatever. But we're here to talk about Star Wars.
Yes.
Which has another age gap with Harrison Ford and a much, much, much younger leading lady. But we're not here to talk about that. I do think when we were discussing different things to talk about, you are a musician, you're a big John Williams and film music nerd fan. So that seemed like the obvious thing to talk about. But after chatting, it seemed like, well, maybe let's talk about the not obvious thing to talk about. And you had an idea to talk about like alternate timelines and if certain things had happened differently, what might the outcomes have been like? And I thought that was really fun. And yes, I'd love to talk to you about Star Wars music. And I'm sure as time goes on, we will do just that. But tonight, I'd love to talk about some what if moments.
Sure. I think we were going to talk about Revenge of the Sith. So
yes.
The first one I mentioned is pretty much right at the beginning. So it's after Anakin and Obi-Wan fight Count Dooku. Obi-Wan doesn't really fight him. He kind of gets
he's unconscious
put down immediately.
Yes.
But then Anakin takes him out, but Dooku looks very surprised when Palpatine tells Anakin to kill him. And so the what if would be, what if Dooku, right in that last second, outed Palpatine and said, look, Anakin, he is the Sith Lord. He's been doing all this stuff. Pretty much giving the same spiel that he gave Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones. So I wonder what would happen if Anakin was able to be like, oh, maybe I should do something like that.
I mean, there are a few ways that could go, right? Because like version 1, he outs him as a Sith Lord. Anakin believes him, and Anakin kills Palpatine, and credits roll, and the movie's over. So obviously that's one way. But then there's also at this point, Anakin's still sort of in the, no, we don't kill. We should have them go on trial. So, there could be a whole other movie version of this where the entire movie is like Palpatine awaiting trial and Anakin visiting him in prison and him, seducing him to the dark side there. And like,
it could probably have the same outcome.
Yeah, it could have the same outcome.
I feel like, I wonder if Palpatine had his lightsabers on him. I feel like he probably wouldn't.
I feel like I don't know. So there's in some, in Darth Plagueis, which is no longer canon, but he would keep them. There was a statue that he, like an ancient statue that he had on display, and he had him hidden in a compartment, both his and his master's, his former master. And
he had 3?
Well, no, he just had 2, I think. His and his master's. Or was there another one?
Because he has 2.
Palpatine has 2? What? I didn't know that.
It was like I didn't catch it at first at all until watching the Clone Wars. Well, in the Clone Wars, he has 2.
I truly didn't remember this, so I looked it up, and yes, in the Clone Wars TV show, Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, is shown wielding 2 red lightsabers during his duel against Darth Maul and Savage Opress in Season 5, Episode 16, The Lawless. This is consistent with what was revealed in Revenge of the Sith, where he also had 2 lightsabers, one of which he used and lost against Mace Windu, and another he used during his duel with Yoda. However, the Clone Wars marks the first time we actually see him dual wielding in combat. My guess is that this was Dave Filoni smoothing over a bit of a continuity flub in the movie, where he loses his lightsaber in his battle with Mace, only to seemingly have it back when he fights Yoda. Rather than let this error stand, Dave course-corrected and canonized him as a dual wielder.
Yeah.
And so when he's fighting Mace Windu, the window shatters and his lightsaber goes out the window, but then he has another one when he's fighting Yoda.
Right.
So I guess he has two. I don't know if it's maybe it was a continuity error that Dave Filoni just kind of fixed.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought it was, but
yeah, he has two.
Interesting. Yeah, I need to. It's been a while since I've gotten back and watched, so I need to go back and rewatch. Maybe one of the ones was his old masters, and he used it out of necessity. Yeah, it would have been. Now I really want to look, because his old masters was like, he was a Mun. He was much taller. His hands were like twice the size of human hands. So it would have been like a two-hander.
Real big.
So now I'm like, oh, I want to go back and rewatch these and see, like, was it bigger? Was it like, yeah. Oh, I'm going to say there's a decent chance he did, because he was kidnapped by someone who knew his secret, but I don't know.
Grievous knew?
No, sorry, Dooku, because Dooku was there.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't think Grievous
like if they knew, because Grievous kidnapped him.
Yes, but Dooku was there.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it could go either way, because obviously knew he was getting kidnapped, so he could just be prepared. But if I guess for some whatever reason really was kidnapped, you probably wouldn't have time to be like, oh wait, 1 second, let me grab my stuff real quick.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think I take it back. He, at this point, is strong enough in the Force and self-assured enough. He doesn't really need a lightsaber to fight. Yeah.
So I guess then that would lead to, I guess, Dooku doesn't have his hands at this point, so that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. My guess is like, okay, so how about this? Dooku doesn't have hands. He's got the things here. Palpatine is, do it. And Dooku goes, no, wait. He's a Sith Lord. And Palpatine has one of two options. He can let Dooku talk, or he can kill him. But the only way he can kill him is by using the Force to choke him, because he's restrained. He's like, so either way, he's outed as a Sith. Either he, I guess he could let Dooku talk and be like, don't listen to him, Anakin. He's full of shit. But like, let's, for the sake of this argument, we want to assume that Anakin believes what Dooku is saying.
So I don't think Anakin would be able to take Sidious
in a fight.
No, maybe I don't think so. I guess he's a little bit more reserved. So if he did attack him with Force lightning, he might be able to block it and do something. But
maybe
I forgot that he doesn't have his hands at this point, because if it was Dooku, Anakin, and if Obi-Wan woke up, I think the three of them could probably take Sidious.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like, so at this, not Sidious, Palpatine, in his role as Palpatine, has been like Anakin's mentor and friend and advisor. So if he were to just start force choking Dooku into silence, I think Anakin would be so stunned that I don't think he'd jump into action mode until it was too late. He'd be like, so you have the Force and you're bad, and you both sides of the war, like the whole machination of the Clone War being orchestrated by one person on both sides, that all would come to light in that moment. Yeah.
Then again, I don't think Palpatine would fight Anakin, because that's still his entire plan, is using Anakin to
exactly
turn to the dark side. So I wonder if he would just accept being arrested and then just try to figure his way out of that.
And that's the movie, is him like trying to talk his way into Anakin's good graces. And, you know, the whole, the same thing, I can save your wife from the nightmares that you're having. And then Anakin frees him from prison and hijinks ensue, you know.
That would be crazy.
That would be pretty crazy. There were some other pretty wild ones here. Like, let's see, I'm trying to think of some, like, oh, here's one. So what if Yoda had gone to Mustafar to fight Anakin instead of Obi-Wan, leaving Obi-Wan to battle Sidious in the Senate building?
Well, I think Obi-Wan would get his shit rocked by Sidious.
Yes, I think that is
unfortunately
100% true. I also think Anakin probably would not have survived.
I'm not sure. I think Yoda definitely has a better shot against Anakin than Obi-Wan would against Palpatine. And I think, I don't know, I think it would be really close. Anakin might even have, I don't know, because Yoda's way more advanced in the Force. But I think one of the only reasons that Obi-Wan won was because he was so intimately familiar with how Anakin fights and everything he does, and Yoda isn't.
I guess not.
So, I don't know.
Also, Obi-Wan was able to get underneath Anakin's skin kind of just by being there. And that probably made him a little more unbalanced.
Yeah.
But like, it's Yoda, man. I don't know if Anakin's beating, I mean, at this point he's Vader, but like, I don't know if young Vader at that age is beating Yoda. If Sidious couldn't take him down, I don't know.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan's definitely getting killed by Sidious, though, for sure. You're yeah. Right. Like, sorry, buddy.
Seeing Yoda kill Anakin would be really depressing.
It would be really depressing. Yeah. And would retcon the original trilogy's existence, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely makes sense why that didn't happen.
It's depressing anyway. But the more content that comes out in movies or TV, that adds to the era of Order 66. It makes Revenge of the Sith harder to watch just because it's so sad. It's honestly just so tragic. Like, I don't want to just sit there and be sad.
Yeah. And I used to not care. I mean, I think I'm a bit older than you, but I did not like the prequels when they came out. I thought they were lame. I thought they were, I was part of that group of like, oh, it's not the same. It's not the originals, blah, 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 blah. And I still loved them because they're Star Wars. But it took years and rewatching and watching the Clone Wars and then watching all the other supplemental stuff and reading books and then watching again. And now, I'm at this point where like now when I watch Revenge of the Sith, it's heartbreaking. And I'm like tiny little things. And I go, oh, I just want to, like, I cry every time I watch it. That was not the case before. Yeah. Like it was a very acquired taste, coming back around on the prequels.
I think, I definitely liked them when they came out. And then I think I just might have hopped on the bandwagon a little bit of hating them. It's like the acting's bad or this or that, whatever. And then, I mean, again, like we said, the more stuff that I consume, the better they get.
Yeah.
And it's easier to defend things that might have been bad, quote unquote. Like saying that Hayden can't act and like he's super wooden, can't flirt or whatever. He's a monk essentially who like doesn't talk to girls. So you think he's gonna have any real game? I don't think so.
Yes. But then the follow-up to that is, okay, sure, there's no reason why he would have any game. Very fair argument. Why does Padme go for him then?
Because honestly, I love Padme. But
nostalgia is the only thing he's got going for him. Nostalgia and a pretty face. Like those are his only really redeeming qualities to someone who's like older. She's not super older, but like she's 5 years older. She's more mature. She's super established. She's much more worldly and well-traveled. She's much smarter. And like, just because she has like a soft spot for him because they knew each other when they were younger, and it's like, oh, now I love you.
How many days does the Phantom Menace take place over?
Oh, not many. Isn't it just like half of a week?
No more than a week, I would say.
Yeah, like 4 days max. It's pretty quick. And they did have some time in the capital together, or they went to Naboo after that.
It says estimated 8 or 9 days.
8 or 9 days?
But still, I mean, that's
just
barely any time at all.
Yeah, that's barely any time. And that also includes the time on Coruscant afterwards, where like he's being questioned by the temple or by the council, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not a lot of time.
Maybe 24 total hours with her.
Yeah, as a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Yeah. So it's not like she was laying up at night thinking about him romantically the way that he was about her. So I don't know. It's asking the audience to really go along for the ride and say, well, they were just destined to be together. It's just, you can't question it.
I think I'm still able to suspend my disbelief enough. Like, I don't really care that much. It's like, oh yeah, they, I guess, belong together. They're both very toxic with themselves in their own way.
Yes.
It took me a while to realize that, you know, Anakin said, I killed them all, women and children. And she's like, what did she say? To feel is to be human. What? Literally what? He confesses to mass murder. And she's like, he's cute.
He's cute. So I'm going to just ignore it. She is smarter than that. I know. It makes me crazy. I've talked about this with another guest in a previous episode, Jesus, and I can't remember if I kept it in the episode or if I cut it, but we talked about what are all the alternate timelines in which Padme does not die of a broken heart. Like, we know she dies. She has to die. Okay, we know that. But like, how? There's so many different ways. Way number one, Anakin actually kills her on Mustafar. Like, he chokes her, she's dead. Luckily, she's far enough along that the babies are still alive and they're able to safely deliver. But like, Anakin actually killed her. He lives with the guilt of having killed her. So why not have him actually have killed her? Because he thinks he killed her this whole time. Like, so might as well have. So number one. Number two, she escapes. She flees Coruscant. She goes with Bail Organa. She or she has a plan of escape. She delivers the twins, and then she like dies in the escape trying to save her children. Like, she's a badass, man. Like, she deserved, she deserves to go out with a bang. And instead it's just like, I have nothing to live for. It's like, lady, you just had 2 babies. You have plenty to live for. You have a lot to live for.
Actively planning a rebellion already.
Yes, you're 27 years old. You have
that's also crazy to think about, because like, I mean, growing up they were much older than me, and now I'm like older than them. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Vader was what, 45 or something when he died?
Yes.
That's crazy.
I know. Ooh. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about. Like, there's so many, and I do wonder about that. So Vader / Anakin goes to his death believing that he killed his wife. And I wonder, is there any comic book or other supplemental material that explains to us, or that gives him the realization of like, oh, I didn't actually kill her, she died? Like, does he ever find that out? Or is it just seems like a wasted lie that he's told, and it's not true, but it's like, well, she dies anyway, so why not just, it's weird.
I mean, there are no comics or books that I know of that talk about that, and I'm not sure how the lore works really. Like, does it take does it take energy to like be a Force ghost? Like, can they only manifest as Force ghosts for a short period of time or something? Or hypothetically, are Anakin and Obi-Wan just chilling at all times in the afterlife? Because I mean, Obi-Wan could tell him. I'm sure stuff like that came up.
Yeah, after death, for sure. I'm sure
if they're just hanging out, then I'm sure they talked about everything.
I'm sure he figures it out after he dies. But prior to that, I don't think he does.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, a lot of the Force ghosty stuff I know is from like Heir to the Empire books, which aren't considered canon anymore. So I don't, but there's a period of time where like Obi-Wan is visiting Luke less and less and less. And then he's saying like, this is going to be the last time, like my presence is fading. And the lore around the Force ghost mythos has changed so much in the last 30 plus years. So none of that's really relevant anymore. But like, I don't know how much energy it takes. I have to imagine it's not just like something you can do like, yo, I got killed, but like, don't worry, I'll hang out with you 24/7. Like, I don't think that's, I do think it takes some energy, or like you have to be receptive to hearing. That was in the Obi-Wan show, like Obi-Wan was not, he couldn't hear Qui-Gon because he like wasn't ready or whatever Qui-Gon says at the end of the series.
Yeah. It's a bummer that he just never knew.
Yeah. I do have two other what ifs from Revenge of the Sith. Number one is also Yoda related. Ki-Adi-Mundi comes to the council and says that there's been an attack on Kashyyyk and the Wookiees need help. And Yoda says, I have good relations with the Wookiees. I have, specifically what he says. And he goes off to Kashyyyk. If he had not gone, then when Anakin finds out about Palpatine, as it stands currently, he goes to Mace Windu as like the senior council member around. If Yoda was still in play, if someone else had gone to Kashyyyk, Anakin would have gone to Yoda. Yoda probably would have handled it a lot better than Mace Windu did. And that whole altercation would not have taken place in the same way. Yeah.
I wonder if he, or like how he would have handled it, if he would have also been like, okay, I'm going to bring this handful of masters to go confront him, or if he would, I mean, I'm not sure what the other option would be.
I mean, he probably would have gone the same way until the part where Mace Windu's like, he's too dangerous to keep alive. Because like Mace gets a little unhinged then.
I don't think it would have gotten that far at all. Because if Yoda and Mace Windu and Anakin are there to arrest him, he's got no chance.
True. But then you see, after watching Clone Wars, you're like, Kit Fisto goes down with like...
He gets like 1, maybe 2 blocks.
If that, like they all just go down like tissue paper. Yeah. And watching the Clone Wars, you're like, dude, these guys are badass. They're super good at fighting. Like this is, so that's why I did quote unquote signs when you said masters, because like they are masters, but
yeah,
they just look so dinky.
Yeah, I was happy that Kit Fisto got, I think it's 1 block, maybe 2.
Maybe
the other 2 had literally nothing.
No.
I liked Kit Fisto already, and I'm like, oh, I guess he got like a second in there.
I like that he was given life in Clone Wars as like this kind of badass. Like I'm a Jedi, but I also kind of am a bit of a bruiser, which like I'm not really supposed to be, but I've got a sparkle in my eye and a little wink
and a killer smile,
a fun accent, and yeah. He's really cool. I like him a lot.
But I think, I'm not sure if it would just be the 3 of them or if they would bring those extra 3 as well. But Yoda, Mace Windu, Anakin, and Kit Fisto, and I forget the other 2 people.
Yeah, I can't remember the other 2 people.
To handle him.
You're probably right. I do think it would not have ended. It would definitely not have shaken out the way that it did with Anakin Anakin and Palpatine the only ones left standing. Like, no way.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can blame everything on Ki-Adi-Mundi for telling the council
Yoda.
about that. For sending Yoda to. I mean, Yoda sent himself. No one sends Yoda anywhere, but I just hate Ki-Adi-Mundi, so it's fun to blame him for things.
Him and his, is it 8 wives or something?
Yeah, many wives.
Like
He's a real piece of trash. The other big what if I had was Ahsoka is at the Siege of Mandalore when all of this is going on. And she's with Rex too. So I guess this actually applies to Ahsoka and Rex. If the Siege of Mandalore, if that had gotten wrapped up earlier, or she had not been involved, or maybe Anakin and Obi-Wan did not agree to splitting the 501st, and for whatever reason she's back on Coruscant, Rex is back on Coruscant. If Anakin had Rex and or Ahsoka with him, how do we think this would have gone down? Like,
I don't think he would have succeeded, at least in this time frame of however long Revenge of the Sith is. It's like Anakin, feels, platonic love for Rex and Ahsoka, and to be like reunited with all of his loved ones, pretty much. I think that would probably put him in a space that's not as vulnerable or malleable as he was without them.
Yeah. Well, and there's very strong argument to be made for Rex being like, Rex stands guard while Anakin and Padme are having their like hollow calls.
Chats.
So
yeah.
It's, he could have been a confidant. That's another what if. What if Anakin had confided to someone, to anyone, what was going on? To like, maybe Ahsoka comes back. She's not part of the Order anymore, so he can confide in her safely. And Rex, maybe they don't talk about it, but he clearly knows. So he could have these two people, like voices of reason, being like, we will find a way. If your visions are real, we're not going to gaslight you and tell you you're crazy. Like, your visions might be real. We believe you. Let's work on this together, fam.
Yeah, and plus Ahsoka and Padme have a great relationship too. So
yes,
I'm sure Padme might tell Ahsoka even.
That's, you know what? Absolutely. I feel like if all this shit had happened, maybe Anakin does turn, he does become Vader. I feel like Padme would run to Ahsoka if she was available, and Ahsoka might like spirit Padme away. So she never goes to Mustafar. She gets like bundled off to safety. And then maybe Ahsoka goes to confront Anakin. So many different ways this could go.
At the same kind of fork in the road, what if Palpatine wasn't kidnapped then, and Anakin and Ahsoka went to Mandalore? Because Ahsoka says to Maul, like, "Oh, you should be really glad Anakin didn't show up." Because if this is like prime Revenge of the Sith era Anakin, Darth Maul's cooked.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. He's stalemated with Ahsoka. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he's toast.
And that's right. You're completely right. Oh my gosh. So because Maul did all of this to bring Anakin to him. Like, he wanted him to be there. He knew they'd send a Jedi. He wanted it to be Anakin. He had been dreaming about Skywalker. Like, he had all of this, and he was like, this is going to be my master's replacement, or like the guy that my master's replacing me with. I want him here so I can kill him. Yeah. What if Palpatine's never kidnapped and Anakin is at Mandalore? Damn.
Also, because since that's technically, I guess it would be before the kidnap.
Yeah, the kidnapping happens like while they're getting ready to go.
Before they go to Mandalore.
Before they go, but they are like suiting up.
Yeah. So depending on whether or not Maul just goes straight for and trying to kill him immediately, or if he, gives him the same speech that he gave Ahsoka, then that would mean that Maul would out Palpatine.
Yes.
And so then I wonder if they would be able to convince Maul to help them take Palpatine down, or if they would just deal with Maul and then go and deal with Palpatine.
Or Maul tries to make Anakin his apprentice and set themselves up as the true Sith.
Oh, that would be crazy.
And then Anakin still becomes Darth, maybe not Vader, but Darth something, and they team up against Sidious together. I mean, he tried to do it with his brother. Like Maul has set a precedent for trying to usurp the Sith title. This is pretty crazy. Let me see if I had some other ones. I have some other ones from other movies, but I'm trying to think of like what would be. One of the other ones was, what if the Republic lost the Clone Wars? And it's like, well, Sidious was controlling both sides, so I think the ultimate outcome would be the same.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen if Luke and Leia switched. Like if Leia went to Tatooine and Luke went to Alderaan.
That is a good question. Yeah, what if Bail Organa had said, "My wife and I have always wanted a baby boy," instead of a little girl? Dang.
That'd be little Luke running away from Flea instead of.
Yes. Actually, I don't know. Like Leia is such a, like, I can see Luke being a little bit of a troublemaker, but not to the same degree that Leia was a troublemaker. Like, no. Luke's a Jedi, but Leia's a fucking general. She is the leader of a rebellion. She is hardcore in her marrow.
Uncle Owen would be so annoyed.
Beside himself.
She'd be way too much for Owen and Beru.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think they'd love her just the same, but she would be. I think she would have a much harder time in a smaller, like urban, like without more going on to stimulate her.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke has a hard time with it. I think she would have an even harder time with it. That is a really good question. What if, yeah.
It could also be like a nature versus nurture thing. Because like what if Luke, what if their whole demeanors were switched? Like if Luke was the one that, couldn't sit still and was going off on these adventures and stuff, and Leia was murdering little animals in the Beggars Canyon.
The Womp Rats.
Those are, I always forget, because he says they're no bigger than 2 meters long.
Like that's fucking huge.
That's really big.
I'm no bigger than 2 meters long.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Like no, that's and that makes me think of the ROUSs, the rodents of unusual size from like Princess Bride.
I've actually never seen Princess Bride.
Stop.
There's a lot of movies that surprise people that I've never seen. I've never seen Back to the Future, which is a crazy one to say.
What?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it several times, but I've never just sat down and watched the whole thing.
Back to the Future is wonderful. Princess Bride, though, it's perfection. It is a piece of. The next time you have available to watch a movie that's just like, I'm going to pick a movie, you have to watch Princess Bride.
I'll add that one to the list.
Yes.
Put it at the top.
There is a thing where they encounter ROUSs, and Princess Buttercup is like, what's an ROUS? And he says, rodents of unusual size. And they're just these really big rats. And I'm thinking, even those aren't as big as close to 2 meters. Yeah. That's a really big rat. I'm like, I could probably shoot a rat that size, but I guess we don't know how far away they're shooting them from. So also the whole argument is so flawed, because it's like you're shooting them. If you're on Tatooine in Baker's Canyon shooting Womp Rats, you're stationary, right? You're not like you're on.
Well, he was in his T-16.
But he was sitting. They weren't like racing, were they? Like while they were shooting?
Well, if he's in a little starship flying through the canyon.
See, in my imagination, they're just sitting there picking off womp rats.
Huh.
Like they're not like moving. They're not going at high speeds. And they're also, even if they are though, they're on like a planet where there's gravity. Even if they are on a hovercraft, like the physics of everything is different. They're shooting with rifles, most likely some version of a rifle rather than like a proton torpedo. Like it's apples and oranges. It's a very funny comparison to make. It's like one thing is not like the other.
Does he say that he's in one of the starfighters
when he's shooting the
womp rats? He said we used to bullseye womp rats in our T-16s back home.
Yeah, that's the little like speeder.
I don't think so. I think the T-16. I think it's.
I'm gonna look.
Yeah, it's like a triangle looking thing. Yeah, but it's a ship.
T-16 Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a proper.
He burned out the instrumentation during a reckless trip through Beggar's Canyon. Okay, I guess.
I feel like that would make the. I don't want to say the trench run easier because they got a bunch of turbo lasers firing at them, but I mean, I assume Beggar's Canyon is windy and stuff, and womp rats are moving targets. So if he's bullseyeing them, a straight line and a stationary target. That is a more direct
comparison than what I was imagining. I was imagining him like on his speeder with a rifle. Like, yeah, maybe far away, sure, but like a totally different type of weaponry, totally different type of scenario. Okay, now I take all of that back. That makes sense. All right, good on you, Luke. Yes, yes. All right, fine. Let's see. What are some other what ifs? Oh, I have one. It's not actually from the movie, but it's very close to when the movie happens. What if Fives hadn't been killed?
In the Clone Wars Season 6, CT-5555, also known as Fives, stumbles upon a conspiracy after fellow clone Tup unexpectedly kills a Jedi. His investigation leads him to discover inhibitor chips implanted in all clones, designed to trigger Order 66 and turn them against the Jedi. Seeking answers, he confronts Palpatine, who manipulates events to frame him as a traitor. Forced to flee, Fives desperately tries to warn Anakin and Rex, but is cornered and fatally shot by Commander Fox before he can reveal the truth. With his death, the final chance to prevent Order 66 is lost.
Or what if like Fives, what if someone believed him and there was like a large investigation into the clones and their inhibitor chips and what they were meant for and who put them there?
Be pretty big, assuming, I mean, Rex would be the one he would report it to. If not Rex, then probably Anakin.
Because he did report it to Rex. Well, not so much reported as he like confessed it as he was dying.
Yeah.
And it like Rex kind of believed him, but then was like, but well, they say he tried to kill the Chancellor, so he's probably nuts. But I'm gonna submit a report anyway because it feels weird.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure what Anakin's first steps would be. I don't know if he would tell Obi-Wan or bring it up to Palpatine himself, or because I forget what Fives knows exactly. Does he know that? I don't think he knows that Palpatine is a Sith Lord, does he? I think he just knows that they have the chips that are designed to do that.
He knows they have the chips, and he knows that the chips are going to turn them into time bombs to kill Jedi. So he knows the whole thing, but he doesn't know why, and he doesn't know who's behind it. So, but he does get an audience with Palpatine ostensibly to be like, look, this is what I just found out. And then Palpatine is like, oh no, this clone tried to kill me. Get him.
Yeah, cause I know Palpatine and Anakin have a solid relationship, but I feel like Anakin's relationship with Fives is probably strong enough to not just kind of write him off. As like he would question whether or not he actually attacks Palpatine. He'd be like, five?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And so that's why it was easy after he died to write it off as like, no, the fives you knew was great. There's nothing wrong with fives. It was like his chip went faulty and drove him insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was very easy to do that. But there was a point, and I'm curious when exactly this happened, when Anakin stopped seeking personal counsel with the Jedi Council and started really more confiding in Palpatine. Like that whole seduction took many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, he was kind of confiding even towards the very end when he told Yoda about the dreams, and Yoda's like,
yeah,
forget about it.
Exactly. Like dreams happen. Sometimes they mean something, sometimes they don't.
Just stop caring about things, essentially.
Such great advice to give a young, emotionally unstable man. I have one more. What if Anakin's MasterCard had not been declined? What if he had been granted the rank of master?
What was Anakin's? Did he have a mission? I don't think so.
His mission.
He stayed behind while Obi-Wan went to Utapau.
He stayed behind.
If he would have been dispatched somewhere if he was on the council.
He was specifically on the council at Palpatine's request. I guess his last mission had been rescue Palpatine having been kidnapped. Mm-hmm. And then he's not given another mission other than just like be Palpatine's eyes and ears on the council.
I think, I mean, that was definitely a catalyst for him just being fed up with the council.
He might not have been so emotionally vulnerable because he'd feel better about himself. He'd feel more connected with and accepted by the council instead of feeling more like ostracized and, unheard and unseen.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. It's unfair.
Yeah. Take a seat.
Take a seat.
Yeah, then I wonder if they would have trusted him to go fight Grievous.
Because doesn't he asks to go to Utapau, doesn't he? Yeah. Uh-huh. And then they're like, no, we're going to send Obi-Wan for this. Uh-huh. Yeah, what if that's another what if Anakin had gone to Utapau?
I think he could probably take Grievous. I don't know, it's so tough. It's so like who would win is so I love thinking about them because like Grievous is crazy. I know they're not canon anymore, but the OG Clone Wars when he takes on those, like the 6 masters and wrecks them all. I think one of the reasons that Obi-Wan won was because he is the master of Form 3 or whatever. So he's like the best defensive lightsaber duelist. So he can handle Grievous's attacks. Yeah. But I'm not sure. I mean, Anakin isn't the master of Form 3. So I'm not sure. I think he would probably still win, but it'd be an interesting fight.
I mean, he out-dueled the best duelist in Count Dooku. So yeah, I think he could take Grievous. I think so.
I always think about like in what Clone Wars episode, like when was the last time Obi-Wan fought Grievous in the Clone Wars? But between that episode and then episode 3, it's like how much time passed between their last 2 fights? It's like how much better could Obi-Wan have gotten between their last 2 fights?
I'm trying to remember
for other people too, like Anakin and Dooku and stuff, because like
Anakin and Dooku fought in the second in Attack of the Clones. I don't think they crossed blades in the Clone Wars series.
They do. Dooku or Grievous?
Dooku and Anakin.
They do a handful of times, I think.
Do they actually actually cross blades, or do they just like?
Yeah, because they do in the Clone Wars movie when they're on Tatooine. They do forgetting the planets. Yeah, I think
it's been so long since I've seen them.
It's a few times. So like he said, I know it's kind of a retcon now that the Clone Wars exists. But him
Yeah.
saying my powers have doubled since the last time we met, that could have been like a
Last
month ago.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, so that's why I was like, I couldn't remember a specific time when they crossed blades. I mean, it makes sense that they did, but
Mhm.
it's one of those funny things though, like Anakin saying, like, you're shorter than I imagined.
Mhm.
And then Dave Filoni bending over backwards to do 7 seasons of a show when
Don't need.
2 major characters don't meet. So along those same lines, I'm trying to remember specifically when Obi-Wan and Grievous actually cross blades. And do they? And if they do, how does that? So it's been a while. I could definitely stand to rewatch.
I forget when the last time is.
My instinct is to say yes to all of it, but then there's I don't know, maybe if I go back, maybe it's so I don't know. Yeah. I'm due for a rewatch of a lot of things. I usually binge a few things before whatever new television show comes out, and Andor comes out in a month and a half-ish. So
I cannot wait.
I'm so excited.
Keeping me going right now.
I know. I'm really excited. I'm trying to get another podcast host to do reviews with me. Yeah, I'm really stoked.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Ben Mendelsohn's confirmed, I think.
Yes. Yep, he's confirmed.
It would make sense. I'm sure K2SO is coming.
Yeah, we saw I saw an image of Alan Tudyk in
his mocap.
Yep.
Lovely.
Yep, with the ping pong balls and stuff. Yeah. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so good.
Do you think it's the best Star Wars? I think it's far and away the best Star Wars.
If you
not necessarily my favorite, but just overall quality.
Yeah, if you're looking at it
kind of bad.
Scholastically, as far as cinematography, sound design, there are other shows and movies that have it that can match it for production design as far as just the look, for sure. It's extremely elevated in Andor, but they do it in elevated ways elsewhere. But it's everything all together. The music, the sound design, the writing, the dialogue, the monologues.
The dialogue is unheard of for Star Wars.
The monologues, there's the Andy Serkis monologue where you're just why am I crying? There's the Luthen monologue.
That's the same episode, isn't it?
It's the same fucking episode.
Yeah, that's
and then
crazy.
There's the I think it's an episode before the Aunt Petunia one, of course. Fuck the Empire. And then there's Nemec, his manifesto. I always forget about
Nemec. Oh,
yeah.
So
yeah. Freedom is God. It's all of this writing and the acting. It's truly a masterclass in filmmaking, and it hits on every level. So yeah, I think by that metric, by those many, many, many metrics, I think it is the best Star Wars. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's way up there for sure. Yeah. I also have a thing for Diego Luna. So
he's great.
Yeah.
He is
ever since high school, I've just thought he's the cutest.
Since what's that movie he's in? The Terminal?
Oh, for me, it was Y Tu Mama Tambien. That was
I've seen that one.
2003 or 2. It was him and Gael Garcia Bernal. It was Mexican erotic drama, whatever. It was really good. But yeah, I saw that movie and was kind of in love with both of them. Yeah. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Andor season 2. Yeah.
Hoping to see more marching French horns.
Yes. We will have to at some point talk about French horns in Star Wars. Tonight's not the night, but I do have so many questions.
But I wrote my master's thesis on the different iterations of the binary sunset horn solo.
Oh, wow.
What they mean in the context of the whole storyline and harmonies and stuff like that.
It's my favorite musical theme in all of Star Wars.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And when I was finished with a master's program, and I guess technically school just in general, I went through and just like cleared all my Google Docs. And so I deleted my my thesis. Oh. Yeah. So I think I may be able to, if I can access my DocuSign, I may be able to get it back, or if I email one of my chair or committee member or something, might have it. But I mean, I could rewrite it. I pretty much remember what I wrote, but
I put yourself through that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Rewriting your master's thesis just for poops and giggles.
For fun.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was a really fun project, you know?
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done to talk about that on another one.
So I guess, all right, we've done Revenge of the Sith. We can work our way through what ifs in different movies, and then we'll start talking about the Force theme. But
works for me.
Yeah, I did a 3-hour episode on one musical theme, and it wasn't the Force theme. It was it was Anakin's theme. We could do a full episode on the Force theme, no question, easily.
We should get them in on it too. Cool.
That would be very cool. Yeah,
just a super. Get every single Star Wars podcaster.
Yes, we'll be a super group.
Minus he who shall not be named. You bleeped one out before, right? I mean, I don't care if you know.
Oh.
I think, yeah. Oh, fuck that guy. No, he's not invited. And then I was just like, oh, you kind of suck.
I did like his theories in the beginning, but his energy to me was so like Joe Rogan bro from the very get-go that I was like, I don't know. I feel like if I saw you, if I was like around you at a bar, I wouldn't feel super safe. Like, yeah.
Weren't most of his videos kind of like the one we just did or now? Like it was kind of like what if stuff.
Yeah, and they were great, and I really liked the way he put shit together. But his whole his energy gave me a little bit of like a.
Yeah, it was his like watch parties that I like.
Yes,
because for a little bit there, I would watch the episode and then I'd go watch his watch party, and then I'm just not even slowly. It was pretty quickly. I was like, the stuff that he's not liking and like complaining about.
There's a theme,
fantastic
right?
Stuff. So
yeah.
So what's going on, dude?
Yep. Well, it's been really great talking to you about different what ifs. I definitely feel like fun. If we got through all of that in just one movie, there are so many different avenues that we could go on for future ones. Where can people find you to follow you on social media?
Oh gosh. I have a couple of Instagram accounts. I have like my main life one, I guess. It's called Avery Bummer is my Instagram. And then I also have a music one. It's Avery Jett Horn. That's where I post my music practice videos or multi-track projects that I do or this and that. I think that's all I have.
That's all you need. I have a private, I have a personal private one too, but it's just me posting a lot of like angry anti-capitalist stuff to my stories. So I leave that, I leave that elsewhere.
All my algorithms are like bleeding into everything. So all my music account, all the stuff is just brain rot. I'm really trying to keep it just like orchestra videos or whatever. So it's all out of whack.
I needed to do separate ones because I am fairly politically involved or like, updated. And I need to be able to sign into Instagram into an account and just see fun stuff. Just like Star Wars and X-Men and Lord of the Rings and cats. And so that's Teatime on Tatooine. Like my algorithm is just that. And then my other one is like anti-capitalist stuff, like political things, and then like fairy smut romantasy book talk videos. So very, very different personas.
I need to do some damage control on all of my algorithms.
Yeah, it's, I think people could use a refresh. Well, it has been really nice talking. It's nice to actually meet you in, not quite in person, but like I can see you now, which is nice. Yeah, it was great. All right. May the force be with you. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
You can also find audio of the complete conversation on Teatime on Tatooine on YouTube. What ifs are always a dangerous proposition. Wishing things were different is magical thinking and can get us into all kinds of trouble. But when it's not in our personal lives, when it's our favorite sci-fi fantasy franchise, bring on the magic, because I am all about it. As time goes on, we'll likely give the same treatment to the other films, because who knows how things could have turned out had decisions been made a little differently. At any rate, it feels good to be back, even if it is somewhat daunting. I want to thank everyone in this community who reached out with kind words and encouragement while I've been away. It's made it so much easier to come back. You all are seriously the best Jedi squad a girl could wish for. That wraps up our show for today. This episode was edited by me and Sam Kieffer, with additional editing by Nick Griffith. The theme song is by Mike Barnett, and all show artwork is by Krishna Shetty. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and tune in a couple of weeks for episode 23. You can find me at Teatime on Tatooine on Instagram. I'm Anna Trumbo. And remember, the Force will be with you always.